Softies here. I'm excited to share with you my little yarn review here of something new I'm trying out. This is from Lionbrandyarn and it's called Feels Like Bliss. And I have to say it's very aptly named because it really does feel so soft and so dreamy to the touch. I wanted to share a little bit about this type of yarn and the projects that I tried it out with, as well as how to crochet with it, because this furry yarn is quite different from crocheting with regular, let's say, acrylics, cottons, or wool type of yarns. So first of all, the Feels Like Bliss collection comes in some beautiful, mostly muted and pastel colors. You can check out their full line on the Lion Brand website. I'll link it in the description box below. And what's really awesome is that they have a line of minis. So if you don't want to, let's say, go with like a full skein of yarn, you can check out their minis, which come in a very nice big assortment of colors, and you can really play with those colors. I also want to add that Feels Like Bliss is a weight 5 yarn, so it is bulky but not super bulky. I can see this yarn being great for making cozy items like scarves, hats, bonnets, and also cardigans and sweaters. But I have tried it out with amigurumi, and I think it's fantastic with making stuffies as well. What I love is that it produces a very furry texture, so it doesn't even look like you crochet the piece at all. And I do have to add that crocheting with furry yarn can be daunting at first, but what I've discovered about Feels Like Bliss is that it is easier to work with than the full-on furry yarns. For example, the faux furry yarns like Go for Faux yarn, and the reason for that is because the Feels Like Bliss yarn is made with a chainette structure in the center, and so the little fuzzes kind of protrude from that, and it's really awesome because when you're crocheting, the chainette structure is actually a bit visible, so you can see your stitches a lot better than if you are using, let's say, a full-on furry yarn. And what's important about being able to see your stitches is that you can start really making more detailed and intricate amigurumis. Without further ado, let's take a look at how these crochet up. Let me show you a few projects and what it looks like when you crochet with them. Here's a cute little duck I made using the pocket duck pattern, which is actually a free video tutorial on my YouTube channel, so you can go ahead and create one for yourself too. The original was done in plush yarn, and as you can see, they have very different looks. I really love how fluffy it came out to be because it looks like a newborn baby duckling. I also used Feels Like Bliss to recrochet or recreate my little pocket raccoon pattern here, and as you can see, since it is thinner than its plush counterpart here, made with super bulky weight yarn, this bulky weight yarn creates a smaller amigurumi, but it's oh so fluffy. I just love how the color changes look, and it comes out to be so soft as well. Last but not least, I wanted to share my little snuggler pattern here. This is my flying squirrel snuggler, and it's not quite finished yet. I'm still working on the pattern part, but I created it using only Feels Like Bliss yarn, and the body and limbs and tail are actually crocheted all in one piece, and it's completely unstuffed. So it's, as you can see here, it's flat and you can squish it, and the yarn creates such a nice texture. It almost looks felted when you finish, and I love that you don't need to stuff it for it to be very soft. All right, if you're wanting to make this little guy too, stay tuned for the pattern. You'll love that it's almost completely no sew. You really just need to sew the head to the body. Let's go ahead and crochet a little bit with this yarn so I can show you how it looks as you work with it. This chainette structure here in the center, you can see quite clearly. There's just a little fuzz coming out of it, which will create that lovely furry texture. For amigurumi, I suggest using a much smaller yarn, smaller hook size than what's recommended on the label. The label says 9 millimeters, and I'm using a 4 millimeter crochet hook here so that there are no gaps showing between my stitches. And that's important if you need to stuff your amigurumi, because you don't want stitches coming out or stuffing coming out between the gaps. So right now I'm going to start off with a magic ring here, 3, 4, 5, and I'm going to do 6 single crochets. And you can see that you can actually use the magic ring method with this yarn instead of the chain method. Some yarns that are bulky and furry are very hard to pull shut, but this one is quite simple. So I love that you can get a really tight magic ring with this yarn. And as you work in that first stitch, let me show you where that is. Over here, I'm not sure if the camera is getting it well, but let me bring it up closer. So you'll see the chainette structure right between the fur. And I love that because you can actually count your stitches now because they're visible. All right, I'm just increasing in each stitch around. And let me show you the next one here. If you can see, there's that little chainette between the fur. And I do apologize if it's not as clear through my phone camera here. I don't have a nice camera that I record with, by the way. I literally just use my phone. So I'm hoping the resolution is good enough for you to see the stitches though. Regardless, all right, so I just went around, increasing around in each stitch, and you'll see that it produces this nice furry look in the end. Now, what's interesting about this yarn is that the right side and the wrong side look different. I tend to like putting the wrong side out for fur yarn because I feel like it looks fluffier than the right side. So for this amigurumi, for example, it is wrong side out. And it looks quite fluffy there. And as you crochet along, you will notice that there's that difference between the two sides as well. And as I'm crocheting, you'll notice that the yarn is not shedding. I will say that when I am sewing things together or maybe being more aggressive with the pieces, I notice a tiny amount of shedding, but it's very minimal. And the good thing is, once you do finish your project, it does not shed. So I haven't experienced any shedding with just touching and fluffing up my finished projects here. No shedding, which is quite nice because sometimes the problem with furry yarns is that it sheds easily. All right, so I just wanted to crochet a slightly larger circle for you to see here. With this 4 millimeter hook, you'll see that it produces a dense stitch and you won't have to worry about stuffing showing up between the stitches. So here's the wrong side with all the furry goodness. And here's the right side. You can see those stitches on top here. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, etc. And what's great is that you can actually frog your work quite easily. It's often a challenge to frog yarn that is a different texture from regular, let's say cotton or acrylic yarn, because the chain or the little thread in the middle tends to break really easily and it's fragile. I've experienced that with polyester yarn and the super bulky like velvet Chanel yarn, but this one, as you can see, is able to be frogged just fine. All right, nice and easy, and no shedding. So that's that. Quite a nice yarn to work with. Thank you so much for checking out my quick little yarn review here. Hope you will give Feels Like Bliss a try. Go ahead and check out the links in the description box below to find it on their website. All right, thanks friends, bye now.